emotional intelligence today. So before we get started, I'd like to go around real quick, just say your name, what you do, maybe your company name, and then maybe your impression of emotional intelligence, whatever that is, or what you'd like to get out of today. Can we do that? And maybe start back here with Ken.
Ken Stroke, I'm project executive for Hagerman, and the soft skills, how to connect with people at different levels.
Okay. JD?
I'm JD Taylor. I'm a structural engineer and project manager with C Solutions, and pretty much have an open mind today.
Wide open. Awesome.
No.
Bruce?
I'm much more closed-minded than that.
Good for you. Good for you.
Bruce Moulter, president of Hagerman. We've had some emotional intelligence training, so I think the most interesting spin today is that you've come from our construction world and how that might hone in a little bit more on some of those soft skills.
So you weren't satisfied with your previous
No,
CEO
never
training?
enough.
There's bad EI trainers just like there's bad contractors out there, right? Mike?
Michael Camp with Hagerman. I work in project management, and I guess it's kind of a bucket you can't ever fill up, CQ. So
Yeah.
I want to learn more.
It's a great business model, isn't it? You're never done, right?
Like milking cows.
Sally?
He's here all day.
Two shows. Go ahead.
And we've worked, Sally Greenberg, and I work with these guys at CS.
Any impressions about it today?
I had lunch with you, so I kind of know.
All right. Chip?
Chip Bradley with C Solutions. I'm a project manager, and I thought I knew until the milking cow industry.
And it blew everything out. Okay. Now you're in the dark.
Yeah, I'm not going to learn it all over again.
All right. Mark?
Mark, C Solutions, project manager, and I'm not sure what to think of it. I want to learn more. Yeah.
Okay. Matt?
I'm Matt Murray, project manager with C Solutions, and not really familiar with emotional intelligence, but like I said during our lunch, I wasn't sure how emotions and intelligence went together.
Okay. All right. Gary?
Gary Smith, project executive with Hagerman, and like these guys, we've been through some training previously, so I'm interested to see a different take on it,
Okay.
perhaps.
Good. Mike?
Mike Worley, Vice President of Sales Eastern Engineering, right down the road. I'm here because of my schizophrenia, and I want the voices to stop.
Okay. Okay. There's quite a bit of that in the industry. So we're good with that.
Amy Forster. I'm the marketing coordinator at CPM Construction, and I'm keeping an open mind.
Okay. Yep.
Evan Sutton with Hagerman Construction. I'm director of masonry, and I too have been exposed to some EQ training in the past, and I'm curious to see how it all unfolds.
Okay. Christina?
Synthesis Incorporated, marketing coordinator, and just have talked about it with my boss a little bit. He's read a book on it, so it just intrigued my interest.
Cool. Stacy, anything else you want to say?
The milking the cow really took
Yeah,
me
that
on,
really
so
drove it down.
I tapped out.
Olive, anything else?
Nothing more to add, but I would like to introduce our virtual guest that we have that's in the room. Carrie Walden from CE Solutions is joining us on Skype on this laptop, so so she can take part.
Hi, Carrie.
Carrie, would you like to say hi?
No agency.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I want to let you guys know I'm a construction guy. I grew up in the business. My dad was a carpenter, worked his way up to management. I mean, I grew up in the business. I loved the business and worked in it for 20 years before starting my own business. So I want you to know that first, because that puts all this into sort of context. So I want you to think about somebody you consider to be the best of the best, somebody in your life. Maybe a mentor, maybe somebody you look up to, maybe somebody in this room. In the business, out of the business, doesn't matter. Think about that person. I want you to picture that person in your mind as best of the best person. How would you describe that person? What are some of the adjectives you would use? Or they have this. What do they have? Anybody?
Integrity.
They have integrity. Good. What else?
Consistency.
They're consistent.
Respect of others.
They respect others. Good. Others.
Excellence.
There's a sense of excellence about them. Good. What else?
Vision.
They have vision. What else?
They have a goal,
They have goal. They're goal oriented.
they have direction,
They have direction. What else?
Work ethic, hardworking.
They have good work ethic. What else?
Care for others and
They care about other people. They're caring.
They're reliable, do what they say they're gonna do.
They're reliable. Excellent. What else? Others. I'm giving all the introverts time to process. Well, picture those people. How would you describe them if you were to say, gosh, this is why I love you so much. This is why you're the best of the best. What
They're
is it?
ethical.
They have good ethics.
innovative.
What?
Innovative.
They're innovative. Good. What else? Any others?
Trustworthy.
They're trustworthy. Any others? Okay. That's a good list. I like that list. I want you to take a look at that list because I ask this question a lot. And I know excellence may get into some kind of technical or IQ kind of stuff, but for the most part, what this list ends up being is a whole big long list of soft skills or intangible things. Nobody ever says, well, they're the best of the best because they have an IQ of 140. That's why they're so great. Or they have a PhD or some kind of technical ability. It's mostly these sort of soft, squishy, intangible things that make these people the best of the best. And don't you get calls for these people? Like, don't your clients want to say, I'll give you this project if that guy works on this project, right? Don't you get those requests? They want those best of the best people. That's what this emotional intelligence becomes about, is cultivating these kinds of skills, these soft skills that separate these people from the other people. So in a room full of very smart people with the same technical ability, the same IQ, EQ is what's going to set them apart. EQ is what's going to propel them in a different direction. EQ is going to make them the best of the best. So let me ask you this. How do these people make you feel?
Valuable.
They make you feel valued? Yeah, absolutely. What else?
appreciated.
Appreciated. Good.
Empowered.
Empowered. Wow, this is an even better list. Empowered. What else?
Partnership or.
Yeah, you feel like they're partners. They don't condescend to you. They're partners with you. What else?
Energized.
You feel energized. You feel engaged around these people. Any others?
Motivated.
Say motivated. Awesome. What else? Any others? That's how these people make you feel. And there's a great quote I like to bring up from this guy, Erwin Fetterman. All things being equal, we work harder and more effectively for people we like. Isn't that true? And we like them in direct proportion to how they make us feel. Right? Absolutely. So the question is, how do you make people feel? How do you make internal clients feel? How do you make external clients feel? Do you make them feel valued and energized and appreciated and empowered? Or do you make them feel stupid and worthless? Or do you make them feel like maybe Michael Scott makes them feel?
What is the most inspiring thing I ever said to you?
So
Hi, my name is Hannah.
I want to start us off on this emotional intelligence journey today just by looking at a couple of videos. Check this first one out.
The illicit emotion.
The illicit emotion, for sure. What else?
An event occurred that made the other person feel really good.
Yeah, yeah. And what happened with was that experience like? You were feeling sort of the same thing?
Got uplifted, felt good.
Yeah, you felt good about that. I mean, don't you wish you could start every morning?
Wish my baby started every morning.
Even your baby. What if?
Yeah.
So when we saw those emotions, we experienced the same emotions, right? Why do you think that is? Why does that happen?
It's a human need.
It's a human need. It's beyond even that. It is physiological. Emotions are contagious, not from anecdotal point of view, not from a cultural point of view, from a physiological point of view, emotions are contagious. We have these things called mirror neurons in our brains. And so when I'm experiencing an emotion, Bruce will experience the same emotion. His mirror neurons will light up and match my mirror neurons.
Can we go estimate?
What's that?
Can we go put an estimate together then?
So you're affecting, when you have an emotion, you're affecting the physiology of the person sitting across from you. Think of the power of that. One neuroscientist put it this way: we are only separated by our skins. We have that connection whether we want to or not. That emotions are contagious. Think about that when you're having a bad day. And you're going down through the office and you're the typhoid Mary of negative emotions, right? And you're spreading all these negative emotions, and people are feeling those same emotions because their mirror neurons are lighting up. So let's test this theory. Get a partner. Get a partner. Face your partner. If you don't have a partner, raise your hand and find a partner. All right, so those two. All right, then you guys can do 3. All right, so pick a number 1 and a number 2. It tells us on a TED Talk that there's about 5% of the population that don't experience any of these emotions. They don't react at all. And there's a clinical term for those people. They're called bastards. They're not called bastards. But no, this is real. They're studying people with autism. Their mirror neurons don't light up the way our mirror neurons light up. Autistic people can't discern emotions. They have a really difficult time with that. So their mirror neurons don't work, so they're doing a lot of research with mirror neurons as a way to combat autism. Okay. So these are all cool things. Again, what I tell people about emotional intelligence is it's neuroscience. It's neuroscience and physics. It's not what you're thinking it is. So I don't know what you think it is, but several people have some weird ideas. So here's some more neuroscience-based stuff. A company called HeartMath that have been doing research for 20 years. Check this out. Anything surprise you in that video? Anything jump out at you that was just like, wow, never knew that? Well, anything. What'd you think?
That the heart sends more information to the brain.
To the brain than vice versa. Wow. What else?
You got a field 7 feet from you or something?
Yeah, 5 feet away. They have to put stuff right on your head to measure brain waves. You can measure heart energy, emotional energy from up to 5 feet away. They've got instruments that can do that. And don't we know that to intuitively be true? Have you ever walked into a room and there was something real tense going on, and you said, boy, it was so tense, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, right? That's that emotional energy that you're feeling. You pick it up, whether you're conscious of it or not, you feel it. Now think again about the power of this in terms of like negotiating, in terms of motivating people, get them to do what you need them to do. They're feeling that emotional energy. What other comments, what other things surprised you? It amazes me how much emotions come into play even with cognitive processes, like problem solving and creativity and health and wellness. That positive emotions boost your immune system and help you make better decisions. I mean, that's powerful stuff, and that's based not in, this isn't la-di-da land, this is neuroscience. Right? This is neuroscience and physics. This is energy and emotions. So, what is emotional intelligence? My definition is it's social competence. It's the ability to deal with other human beings. It's about managing your emotions, managing the emotions of others for the best outcomes. That's what we teach. Right? Now, what it is not, it's not counseling. It's not touchy-feely stuff. It's not Group hugs, although Gary said he wanted to do a group hug every day, so he's going to lead us in the group hug. That's not what this is about. It's not about kumbaya. It's not about being nice to people. I don't teach people how to be nice. It is managing your emotions and managing the emotions of others, and seeing how that ties into things like performance and business decisions and driving business and relationships. All of those are functions of emotional intelligence. Okay? So this is more strategic than anybody ever thought before. There's a strategy to this. There's a business reason for this work. And it's not just about people feeling good. I think I heard Bear Bryant say one time, they said, why are you such a winning coach? And he said, some kids need a kick in the butt, some kids need a pat on the back, and some kids need both at different times. I know which kid to do which thing at which time. That's as good a definition of emotional intelligence as I've ever heard. Okay? Questions on emotional intelligence? What it is, definition, what it's not? So let's take a look at a guy named Terry Tate. Does anybody know Terry Tate? Yeah, you know Terry Tate. He's a client of mine. He took the emotional intelligence evaluation. Here's his results. So let's look at some of his highs and lows. First of all, look at high self-actualization, happiness, and optimism. This guy loves what he does. He loves it. He loves his job. But look at also his assertiveness is quite high. So this is a scale of like 15. He's like maxed out. He's really assertive to the point of being aggressive. Why don't you come on down here and have a seat down here?
No, I like the back better.
Okay.
I'm not emotionally stable.
Right, look at his emotional self-awareness. It's relatively lower. And look at his interpersonal skills. Like interpersonal relationships, quite low. Relatively. Empathy, quite low. Although he has one good relationship with Janice in the office. Don't know why, but he likes Janice. You'll see in the video. But also he's got high social responsibility, which means he's a team guy. So everything's for the team for Terry. Right? But then also look at his impulse control is really low. He's very impulsive. He just reacts to things. Low flexibility. He's very rigid in his approach. There's no grays. It's all black and white, right or wrong. And really low stress tolerance. He's really stressed all the time. So what does that look like in the workplace? Right? How many construction managers do you know with this sort of management approach? Right? If you kick them harder, you get more out of them, right? Subcontractors, subordinates, right? But what are the consequences of that long term?
A lot of workers' comp claims.
Yeah, workers' comp claims. You get people leaving. People work for people. They don't work for companies. People will leave. It might compromise business. All you need is one of these guys on a project to piss off another client, and then you're done. You won't be shortlisted. You won't be getting that business. One person. I get a lot of calls. I get a call a week from. They say, "I got this guy. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable, one of our top producers, but he is pissing everybody off. Can you help him?" That usually facilitates these programs. Is we don't want to just single out this one guy. Let's bring everybody through this because everybody's going to be working on different stuff. So that's Terry Tate. All right, let's go a little bit further. So here's a case study. This is a real person. This is a pretty old case study, but it's very telling. This is a 35-year-old woman, top of her class MBA, probably from Harvard, definitely an Ivy League school. She's a financial planner, right? This woman went through 6 jobs in 4 years. She has an IQ of 138. She's really smart. Top of her class MBA. Got fired from 6 jobs in 4 years. The last job she was fired from, one of her clients brought a lawsuit against the company. Why? Look at her profile. These numbers are a little different because you're going to be taking a little mini EI with a scale of 15. This is the actual test that you take. It's a bell curve distribution, just like an IQ test. So 100 is the mean. The average range is like 90 to 110. So in terms of self-regard, she's like really high to the point of being arrogant, right? Really high self-regard. And she has a balance. Now see, these are great leadership profiles. high assertiveness, high independence. That's a great leadership thing. But she hasn't balanced those with her interpersonal skills. Look at those. Empathy of 74. Social responsibility, that's the team stuff, group stuff, 8. Interpersonal relationship, 68. Look at it this way. In terms of, think of somebody with an IQ of 68. That's how good she was with relationships. So I imagine this woman came across as very aggressive, very assertive, not a team player, highly independent, low reality testing. She doesn't understand the real situation. She lives in sort of a dream world, low happiness. You'd be unhappy too if you went through 6 jobs in 4 years. So look at the imbalances there. Look at the deltas between like assertiveness and empathy. That is a profile of jerk. I imagine during her session, she'd probably say, okay, you're an idiot. I'm really smart, top of my class, MBA from Harvard. I'm here to make you money, so if you'll shut up, I'll make you some money. Here's your portfolio. I don't want to have any discussion about it, because that's the best portfolio for you, idiot. Something along those lines. And do you have project managers that might talk to people that way? I don't know. I hope not, but in my experience, that's how I used to talk to people. I used to love to prove people wrong. Love to just show how stupid they were. That was my goal in life, right? Which is great for ego and great for those moments, but it's really crappy when that same guy's doing your punch list. Right? That's where you say, boy, maybe not the best decision I made. All right, let's look at another case study. Any questions about her? This next case study is a guy, high school educated, average IQ of 100, started his own home building business, highly successful, multi-millionaire. Why? Why did this guy succeed so well when Harvard MBA, high IQ, was a miserable failure? Look at his profile. He's much more balanced. There's a lot fewer deltas there. He's still got that higher assertiveness, independence, high self-regard, but look at his interpersonal relationship skills. It's his highest score. It's massive. That's way in the above average range. This guy is great with people and relationships, right? Why don't you come and join us at a table?
I'm going to sit back here so I don't get everybody else sick.
Oh, you're sick? Okay. Fair
Thank you
enough.
for offering.
Fair enough. So he also handles stress well. He's highly optimistic. He has great problem-solving skills. Lots of really good emotional competencies here and good balance. He's got some things he could still work on. He could improve his empathy. He could improve flexibility if that's something that he thinks is going to help him. But again, highly successful. Now this next slide is over 500 construction managers, people who manage the construction process. What do you think it's going to look like? What do you think? What do you think some of the highs would be of those 16, 15 competencies? Assertiveness probably high. What else? Independence. What else? Self-regard, maybe. What do you think some of the low ones would be? Empathy, impulse control, relationships, maybe. Boy, you guys are too smart. This is it. This profile is frighteningly consistent. Every group I've ever worked with has exactly this profile. Exactly. If they're managing the construction process. So let's note some things. Always the 3 highest, usually, well, we got stress tolerance, reality testing, that's black-white thinking, but high self-regard, high assertiveness, high independence. Relatively lower self-awareness and all the interpersonal skills. Empathy, social responsibility, which means they don't work well in teams or groups. Boy, that's tough in a highly collaborative work environment. And interpersonal relationships. Also, they have this chaos or reactive management profile, high stress tolerance, low impulse control. And they have a control profile, which is lower flexibility with high reality testing and problem solving. Control, perfectionism, which works great for like getting specs right and getting things in place right. Doesn't work as well for relationships. I had a guy one time, he's a quality control manager, he had low flexibility. He said, "Durr." What's your problem? I'm a QC manager. It can't be just close enough. It's got to be right. I said, fair enough. He also had really low interpersonal skills. I said, answer me this. Do you insist that the milk be at a certain place in the refrigerator? And he looked at me and he said, did you call my wife? So I said, okay, this low flexibility that serves you so well as a QC manager doesn't serve you as well with relationships. Maybe the milk can live in a different place in the refrigerator. I don't know. So we worked on his flexibility, and he still was a great quality control manager, but he was better with relationships because he wasn't as rigid in his approach. There's some of you thinking right now, well, of course the milk has to go in the same place as the refrigerator. You're like, duh, right?
That's where the cows are expected.
That's right. Yeah, Bruce.
How does today's interpersonal relationship score with the use of so much electronic communication versus the way it did maybe 10 years ago?
I haven't seen a big shift in like the 20-something score significantly lower in interpersonals. In fact, they sort of score the opposite. They've been brought up in a more collaborative learning environment and atmosphere. So they're highly collaborative. They usually have great relationship, pretty high empathy. Their problem, they have lower assertiveness and lower levels of independence. So in terms of getting those kids up to leadership roles, that's the difficult part for them. Because they're into collaboration. They love to be in groupthink. And in this business, you've got to have leaders that need to make the decisions. They're not used to that. That's what I've found. A lot of these younger kids have this exact opposite profile: lower assertiveness and independence and higher interpersonal skills. Now, as far as just communication skills, that can tie into this or it may not tie into this. But I think it's not that they're poor communicators, they're just different. Like my nieces and nephews, email is like 8-track tapes to them. They don't email. They don't have emails. They social network and they text. And the 20-somethings, that's how they communicate. Is it worse communication? Probably is. It's not as clear because it's just the words. But are they bad at it? I think some of them are quite good at it. In fact, they can accomplish an awful lot with texting and social networking that baby boomers, like they're an hour and a half behind them. So it's different. And boomers always complain about that. And that's the biggest complaint we get from industry is there's two areas that are really poor on kids coming out of school: communication, both written and verbal, and relationships. They don't get it. So I think everybody's working on different stuff. That's the picture. Everybody's working on it.
How are the scores between males and females?
Oh, interesting. Overall, the total EQ is the same. But males tend to score higher in assertiveness, independence, optimism, self-regard. The women are going, we know. Women tend to score higher in self-awareness and the interpersonals, especially social responsibility. They just do. That's just from the stats. Any other questions? All right. So the next logical question is, well, what do we do with this? Well, here's one thing we found totally. There's a lot of people in this industry that hit these brick walls in their careers because they manage process really well. And what do you do with those people? You promote them, right? Because they manage a process so well. So you're gonna manage this department, this big project or whatever. And what happens? They don't do as well, and they fail because I don't know about you, but at Georgia Tech and mechanical engineering, they didn't offer any classes in relationships or empathy skills or collaboration, or they don't have it. They don't have it in any of the curriculum I'm familiar with, except we're teaching emotional intelligence at Penn State and Auburn and Virginia Tech and University of Cincinnati. But other than that, you don't get that. So these people don't possess the skills. This emotional intelligence work will allow them to bust through those barriers and be able to not only be technically good, but be able to manage people appropriately. That's what this work does. So it increases your capacity as a company to allow these younger people, especially these people, to step into leadership roles very quickly. Because these people are really smart. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but kids coming out of school now, they're incredibly smart. Incredibly. They get stuff so quickly, I don't know how they do it. But what's missing for them? It's that level of maturity. It's the ability to deal with people and conflicts and relationship issues. That's what's missing. So to get them up to those leadership positions, increase your capacity as a company, that's where you need to put your efforts and energy. Emotional intelligence will do it with these younger people. Questions? All right. So the next logical question is, well, can you measure this? Can you improve this? Absolutely, you can. This is a great case study. This is Hardin Construction. This is a group of 8 senior executives. They took a one-day course from me. We took the evaluations. We created development plans. They had the best of intentions of carrying those plans out, and then I went away. Because I was just doing the day for them to show them what their subordinates were going through. It wasn't a full-blown, year-long kind of a program, right? So fast forward 3 years. This is the end of 2004, the beginning of 2008. 3 years later, they end up in a full-blown program. Why? Because the biggest comments I get from these programs, my boss needs to take this program, right? So they ended up in a full-blown program. So they took the evaluation again, and look what happened. Nothing. They created plans. They had the best intentions of carrying out those plans. But statistically, nothing happened. If you see a difference of 5 points, that's statistically significant. That means a change in behavior. So they actually increased their flexibility by 5 points and decreased their interpersonal relationships by 5 points. Everything else is statistically exactly the same. And don't we know that to be true? We call these 3-ring binder programs. Have you been to the 3-ring binder programs? What do? You get your binder, and what do you do with the binder? Put it on the shelf. Right? And then by Wednesday, you're right back to where you were. You're busy, and you ain't got time to. And there was some cool stuff in that thing, but I don't know. I just don't have time. Right? And then a year later, you need the binder for something else, right? So you take everything out of it, you throw everything away, and you reuse the binder for something, right? So I think that traditional training is something thought up by binder manufacturers to sell more binders. That's my theory. I'm promoting that on a new show called Conspiracy Theories. So anyway, then these guys went through a whole year-long program. I want you to look at what happened. Now remember, a 5-point difference is statistically significant. These guys have 11-point differences in things like relationship skills, empathy skills, self-regard, 10 points. They felt better about themselves. They were happier. That's a 10-point difference. A 7-point difference, statistically significant. Higher levels of optimism. And this is during the recession. This is right at the beginning of the recession. And still their optimism increased. Right? So they're more self-actualized, 11-point difference there. That's a year-long program with coaching, with follow-up, with daily application and reflection, with lots of accountability built in. We have accountability list, people above them, beside them, below them, a family or friend, someone who knows them well, someone inside the business and outside the company. We actually call all of those people halfway through the program and ask them what they see. What did they see that's changed? They know we're going to do that. You have to have that accountability. You have to have that coaching and follow-up. Without that, very little behavioral change is created. And once this behavior change is shifted, it is fairly permanent. And we do a reunion. Once we finish the whole program, we do a reunion every year. We check in with evaluations. We say, what's changed in your life and work? What's your new goals? Where do you want to go? How do you get there? New plans. Ongoing, never ends. It's a process that never ends. And without that, you are wasting your time on training programs that just do these one-off trainings. You're wasting your time and their time and your money. Because what is the purpose of training? To create changes in behavior. If you're not seeing changes in behavior, then why are you paying for that training? Questions? Here's the most interesting part about this whole thing. These 8 guys, I rank their scores of all the interpersonal skills. There's an interpersonal composite. Hardin has a ranking of their top management of the best guy to the worst guy. And they won't tell me what's included in that. It's proprietary, but it's things like profitability and how do your subordinates see you? How do your clients see you? What's your safety thing look like? And it's all this stuff combined, and And they come out with a number. And if you're number 100, you're the top guy, then the next guy's 98. It's just a ranking. And they base their bonuses on that. They base all of it on that. Guess what? The ranking I did for these 8 interpersonal skills, 1-to-1 correlation with their ranking on the best to worst. 1-to-1. The guys at the top were at the top of their proprietary list. That sold them that, wow, there's got to be something to this, right? Because our best guys, the guys that are making us the most money, the guys that are performing the best, also have the highest levels of interpersonal skills, which tends to be low in most groups I work with. Right? All right. Questions? Next case study.
Hi, it's my pleasure to be here.
I want you to see this, but this next case study is a group I'm working with now, and basically their whole business philosophy, and they're a 90-year-old business. I mean, Hagerman's 100 years old, right? They're an old business, and their philosophy was always, you know what? If we do the per plans and specs with reasonable quality and good safety, and we're going to be asked to do more stuff. And you know, that was true probably in 1970. That is no longer true today. So they had to figure out a different way of doing things. And here was their normal way of sort of approaching, you know, when they presented for a project, this was their normal way. And this is kind of tongue-in-cheek. This is so close to reality that I want you to see it. That's my theory. I think the enemy is us. We have met the enemy, and the enemy is us. What if you had a different criteria? What if they loved you? What if they said, I can't imagine doing a project without you. You guys are so amazing. You've created such a positive emotional experience for us that we want to have you back. We want to find every way we can have possible to get you back and do another project. What if that was a criteria? So maybe there's 2 people with that instead of 5 or 10 or 30, right? Because does your competition suck? Anybody? No, they're all pretty good. So what's the differentiator? It's those emotional connections. So this company we work with, they did a survey with clients and potential clients, and it came back and they said, you guys are great builders, technically excellent, ethically beyond reproach, good communicators, and we don't like you. Don't like you at all. We never hear from you between projects. And we're choosing your competition because they provide us more of a relationship. Well, that just stunned them. It's like, crap, how do you fix that? Right? So they read my book, came in, we did the whole top leadership, and part of these leadership programs is not just emotional intelligence, we have a physical and mental peak performance component. So we talk a lot about stress management and nutrition and sleep and exercise and how that affects performance. Not only emotional performance, but just cognitive performance and having energy at the end of the day for your family and yourself, right? So this group of 21 top managers from this company went through this whole year-long program, amazing results, started to shift the culture, and the group, now these are pretty fit people. There were probably 5 guys that rode like 100 miles a week on their bike, so some of them were really fit, but as a group, they still lost almost 300 pounds just by paying attention to like nutrition and good food, and how does that affect performance, right? So they improved their performance. They became closer as a group. They said, this is amazing stuff. Let's put another group through it. So we had a group of middle managers. We took them through a year ago. Again, amazing changes. Almost 200 pounds lost for this second group. Their performance is better. They're mentally, physically, emotionally better. They're firing on all cylinders. Again, shifting the culture. The culture has totally changed. You can walk in and it's a palpable difference. It is a company that's based on relationships. And we always talk about how do you create a positive emotional experience for your clients internally and externally. That's what they're trying to do. And that's what this work has allowed them to do. So at the end of the second year, they said, this is going much too slowly. We want to transform the whole company. Can you put 100 people through next year? And we said, yes, we can. So we ended up with 80 because of the confines of they can fit 40 people in their training room. We do 2 days of 40 and then 1 giant day with 80. And again, it's transforming culture. It changes people permanently. changes people. There was one guy in the original executive group, one of the feedbacks was, this guy's a jerk, and we don't like him, and we don't want him ever on any of our projects. And they basically had a come to Jesus meeting with that guy and said, you've got to change her. You got to go. Now, this guy was a tough guy. This guy grew up on the south side of Chicago. He was a tough guy. And he was seen as kind of arrogant and kind of condescending and not approachable and kind of a jerk. He has totally changed who he is. He's totally transformed himself. People comment to me all the time, I don't know what you've done with John. Wow. He is a different human being. Now clients love him. They ask for him by name. We'll give you the project if he's the exec on this. I think he's even been bumped up to like chief operating officer or something. He even moved up, yeah.
So a lot of these are intangible in theory.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the tangible results or bottom line results.
Well, I can't say that they increased their revenues by 10%, but I can give you some. There's tons of anecdotal examples of this. One of them, I'll give you two quick stories. One, they bid a job and came in first against a rival competitor, but it was way over budget. So they put it out to the two again and said, get it down to from 112 to 92,000. Get out 20,000 bucks. I mean 20 million bucks. 92 million, 112 million. So they did it. They rebid it, and the other company that came in second during the first bid, no. Let me think about it. Oh. No, their competitor came in first the first time around. The second time around, they came in first when they trimmed off the 20 million. So they went, great, we got the job. And they said, no, we feel compelled to give it to your competitor because they were low on the first time. And so they gave it to the other company, even though they were lower on the second bid. So their first reaction was, let's go over there and beat the crap out of those guys, right? What a bunch of jerks. This was a college, university. But John, this alpha male, south side of Chicago guy, said, no, wait a minute, let's just chill out here. John wrote them a thank you note and said, we really appreciate the opportunity to get your project down to where it needed to be and look forward to working with you in the future. Love. And they said, do you think that's really the right thing to do? Can't we just go beat the crap out of them? That's the better idea. He says, no, let's take the high road. So he sent it on. This was his idea. Before, he would have been the one going over and beating the crap out of the guy, right? So about a month later, the president of this company is in with the provost, in with the head guy at the college. And the guy says, and as we had instructed him, don't talk about business. So he talked the whole time about this guy's trip to Israel for like an hour. And he said, then I was just like, okay, I'm going to leave. And he gets up to leave, and the guy goes, wait a minute, I got something for you. He pulls out this set of plans. And he goes, this is a dorm. It's 10 million bucks. I want you to build it. He goes, oh, you want us to bid this? He goes, no, just build it. Give us some cost. And he said, if you do a good job on that one, I got 12 more of those I want you to build that we've already got budget. And we just want you to build them. So they attribute this program and the reaction to getting that to $120 million. Another example, they were bidding a big, there's this real fast-growing company, they do essential oils and stuff, and they were building their corporate headquarters. They're the fastest-growing company. They've grown faster than Apple grew, right? They're huge. So they said, we want you to build this. So they bid it, and three of their competitors, there were 4 people, they were third in price, my company, third in price. Did the presentation. Of course, we teach them, presentation's not about price. It's not about your qualifications. It's not about your schedule. It's not about any of that. It's about, do you connect with the people choosing the contractor? So they really worked on that. And they really took that to heart. Guess what? They won that project. Third in cost, chosen for the project. The reason they said, we connected with you guys. We felt like we had a lot in common. We felt like you were going to be a great team with us. Period. And if you'll read the book Habit by Neil Martin, you'll know that those decisions are made in the subconscious based based more on emotion and memory than anything else. Emotion and memory. And they will justify it with some cognitive stuff after the fact, but decisions are made more based on emotion and memory than anything else. So are you creating those great memories that allow people to choose you, number one? And are you creating those connections and emotional responses and connections during those presentations? They're finding that that is the key, creating that positive emotional experience. During a presentation, proposal presentation, you know, you guys could sit up front, except for the sick guy, if you'd like. All right, so any questions? So guys, it isn't touchy-feely, it isn't being nice. This is about strategy. This is about how do you differentiate yourself in this marketplace? How do you differentiate yourself from your competitors? And guys, it isn't price. It isn't. I mean, you can try that. I don't know how that's working. But this is something at least different to focus on. All right. Anybody still skeptical? Raise your hand. Think this is just a bunch of crap? Anybody? Crap? All right, there's some people thinking this is crap, I'm sure. For those people. And then I'll hand those out. But I want you to watch this video. Because if you think this is crap right now, you're at like 90% of the people I work with. That's the first reaction to this every single time. I understand it. I applaud it. I encourage you to figure it out. Yeah, don't take my word for it. Do some work. Do some research on this. Guys, this stuff changes people and transforms companies, period. If you embrace it. Check this out. Now you get to try. This is a little mini emotional intelligence test, which you just start with empathy, relationships, flexibility, relative lows of assertiveness, independence, emotional expression, self-regard, especially empathy and assertiveness. Low empathy, high empathy, low assertiveness. You may have a tendency to put other people's needs ahead of your own. And now, when I say high-low, again, a 1-point difference can indicate that on this little 46 whatever question test. Okay? So self-sacrifice, putting others' needs ahead of your own. Now, the next little question is that problematic for me? And some people say, no, I love that about me. Love it. I'm altruistic. I help others. That's my life. I love what I do. Great. But we found that a lot of self-sacrificers have issues with time management, with stress, because they take on so much. It is detrimental to them. And it's time for them to set better limits and boundaries, to say no to people. So they've got to work on their assertiveness. And again, it's all about creating a little more balance. So if you have that imbalance, you work on your assertiveness, you're going to have more balance where you can be empathetic and help others, but also you can stand up and say, no, I'm overwhelmed, I need to say no to them. Or as my wife says, I can't say yes to that at this time. Can't say yes to that at this time, but maybe later. Get back with me, right? So that's the self-sacrifice profile. These people generally, again, maybe stress, poor time management, take on too much. Assertiveness is the key. Questions on self-sacrifice. Next one, page 11, alpha. Notice I don't say alpha male. It is not gender specific. So if you see high, things like self-regard, assertiveness, independence, and low self-awareness, empathy, social responsibility, relationships, impulse control, emotional expression, but especially look at, again, the assertiveness and empathy pairing. Okay? If you see really high assertiveness but lower empathy, especially if it's more than a couple of points, that's probably a good indicator that you're the alpha. And again, lots of great things about being an alpha. You guys get stuff done. You're the drivers. You're the results-oriented people. But you may be leaving some dead bodies in your wake. You know? So again, it's about creating more balance. And for alphas, the balance is empathy, usually. More empathy, more in tune with other people, their needs, listening a little bit more, asking for input or opinions. Okay? alphas tend to be a little bit impulsive. They're seen as people who kind of bowl people over, kind of take control in a group setting. Questions about alpha? Again, 1 point difference might be an indicator. You can think about it. All right, controller, puppet master, perfectionist. If you see high reality testing and problem solving and lower flexibility, and you can throw high impulse control in there as well, these people, tendency toward control, perfectionism. Now, this is the biggest stumbling block to getting to next levels in your careers and getting your young people to get to next levels. These people become workaholics, but they're rarely seen as leaders. They don't develop people underneath them. They are the Superman, the ego-driven Superman that are the problem solvers that just jump in and get everything done. They have really poor time management skills. They're highly stressed and usually in burnout because they take on so much. Again, they're not seen as leaders. I tell these people, develop